hated myself. Every scar on this body, every mistake carved into my soul, every face I couldn't save. Do you know what that feels like? To wake up every day and see the wreckage of who you were supposed to be staring back at you in the mirror. To hear your own mind whispering, "You're not enough. You'll never be enough." I didn't need enemies. I was my own executioner. I thought strength was about never breaking, about standing tall no matter what. But that's a lie. Strength is knowing you're broken and walking forward anyway. I learned that too late. Too many battles, too many faces gone, too many moments I can't take back. And now I stand here with nothing but the echoes of my failures screaming in my head. I bled for people who didn't deserve it. I fought wars that weren't mine. And every time I thought I could bear the weight. But no one tells you that even the strongest back breaks when you pile on enough. No one warns you that the hardest battles aren't fought with swords or shields. They're fought in silence, in the darkness when the world stops looking at you. Do you know what it's like to choke on your own thoughts? To carry guilt so heavy it crushes your ribs every time you breathe. I've cried alone in places no one will ever find. Cried for the lives I've destroyed, for the love I've pushed away, for the man I've become. And God, it hurts, this ache that doesn't fade, this pain that digs into your chest and makes you wish for anything but another moment of this cursed existence. I hated myself. Hated the way I gave and gave until there was nothing left. Hated how I let others define my worth. How I believed every word of doubt they threw at me. I hated the silence I filled with lies. You're fine. You're strong. You'll get through it. Lies I told myself because I was too afraid to admit I wasn't fine. I wasn't strong. And I didn't know if I'd ever get through it. But let me tell you something. There's a fire in hating yourself. It burns you alive, leaves you hollow. But if you survive it, it forges something unbreakable. I've learned to take that hatred, that self-loathing, and twist it into something sharper than any blade. I've learned to use it, to let it drive me when nothing else can. Because if I hate myself for what I've done, I can damn well make sure I never hate myself for giving up. Do you hear me? I won't give them that satisfaction. The ones who doubted me, the ones who broke me, the ones who left me to rot. They don't get to win. Not now. Not ever. I'll rise, even if I have to crawl through the mud and blood of my own despair to do it. They say warriors don't cry, but they're wrong. We cry. We weep for the battles lost, for the comrades fallen, for the parts of ourselves we'll never get back. But we don't stop. We don't quit. And maybe that's what makes us warriors. Not the fight, not the glory, but the refusal to let the darkness swallow us whole. I hated myself, but I'll be damned if I let that hatred define me. I am more than my scars, more than my failures, more than the endless nights spent drowning in regret. I am the sum of every battle I've fought, every wound I've endured, every tear I've shed. I am still here, and as long as I am, I will fight. Not for them, not for glory, but for me. Call me weak, call me broken. I've heard it all before. But remember this, it's the broken ones who fight the hardest. It's the ones who've been to hell and back, who refuse to stay down. I am the shattered sword, reforged in the fire of my own pain, and I will not stop until I've carved my place in this unforgiving world. I hated myself, but now I dare to hope. Not because I believe I'm worthy, but because I refuse to let that hatred win. So, if you think I'm done, if you think I'll lay down and let the world bury me, then you don't know a damn thing about what it means to be a warrior. Do you know what the worst part is? It wasn't the battles, the blood, or even the betrayals. No, the worst part was looking at myself and not recognizing the man staring back. Somewhere along the way, I became a stranger. The fire that once burned bright in my chest dimmed until all that was left was ash. I used to believe I was destined for more, that my strength meant something, that I could make a difference. But life has a way of tearing you down, doesn't it? It breaks you piece by piece, so slowly you don't even notice until you're staring at the fragments, wondering if you'll ever be whole again. And when you're at your lowest, when the world has taken everything from you, that's when it whispers, lies into your ears. You're nothing. You've failed. No one will remember you. And for the longest time, I believed it. God help me. I believed every word. I used to think that hate would consume me, that it would be my undoing. But it wasn't the hate that almost destroyed me. It was the silence. The moments after the battles when the screams faded and the chaos subsided, and I was left alone with my thoughts. That's when the darkness crept in, when the memories clawed at my mind, and the weight of everything I'd lost threatened to drown me. Silence is a cruel enemy. It doesn't attack head on. It seeps into the cracks, feeding on your doubts, your fears, your regrets. I've stood on the edge of that abyss more times than I care to admit. I've stared into it, and it stared back, promising peace, an end to the pain. But something always pulled me back. Maybe it was stubbornness, maybe it was rage, or maybe it was the faintest glimmer of hope, buried so deep I didn't even know it was there. Whatever it was, it kept me going, one step at a time, even when every part of me screamed to stop. And here's the truth I've learned. Pain doesn't go away. It doesn't fade. It doesn't lessen. It becomes a part of you. You carry it with you like a weight chained to your soul. But you have a choice. You can let it drag you down, or you can use it. You can let it fuel you, drive you to become something greater than your pain, something stronger than your scars. I've made my choice. I'll carry this weight, not because I want to, but because I have to. Because if I let it break me, then everything I've fought for, everything I've lost, it all means nothing. And I won't allow that. I won't let their sacrifices be in vain. I owe it to them, to myself, to rise again, no matter how many times I fall. They'll never understand, will they? The ones who've never known real pain, who've never felt the cold grip of despair. They'll look at me and see a warrior, a hero, maybe even a monster. But they'll never see the man behind the armor, the man who's held together by nothing more than sheer willpower and the remnants of a broken heart. And that's fine. I don't need them to understand. My battle isn't for them, it's for me. I hated myself for so long, for all the things I couldn't change, for all the mistakes I couldn't take back. But I've come to realize something. Hate can be a weapon, but it can also be a shield. It kept me alive when nothing else could. It protected me when I was too weak to protect myself. And now I'm learning to let it go. Not because I've forgiven myself, but because I refuse to let it control me any longer. There's a fire inside me now, born from the ashes of everything I've lost. It's not a bright fire. It's dark, smoldering, relentless. It doesn't burn to illuminate. It burns to destroy. And I'll use it to carve a path through this darkness, to forge a new version of myself from the ruins of the old. Because here's the thing about warriors. We don't stay down. No matter how many times we're knocked to the ground, no matter how deep the wounds, we rise. Not because we're invincible, but because we're too damn stubborn to give up. We fight, not because we're fearless, but because we know what's at stake if we don't. And if I have to crawl through hell itself to find my purpose again, then so be it. I've made peace with my pain. I've made peace with my failures. And though I still hate the man I used to be, I'm learning to fight for the man I can become. This world doesn't give second chances. You have to take them. You have to claw your way out of the darkness, bleeding and broken, and demand your place in a world that tried to forget you. Here I stand, not as the warrior I once was, but as something new, something forged in pain, in loss, in despair. I hated myself, but I'm still here. And as long as I draw breath, I'll keep fighting, not for redemption, not for glory, but for the simple, the stubborn fact that I refuse to let the darkness win. Do you think I wanted this? Do you think I wanted to become the man who carries the weight of every soul he couldn't save? I never asked to be the one who outlives the people he loved, who walks through battlefields littered with the memories of better days. I never wanted to look down at my hands and see blood, my own, theirs, everyone's, staining my skin, no matter how many times I try to wash it away. But life doesn't care about what you want, does it? It takes, it tears, it drags you into the dirt and leaves you there, daring you to rise. And every time I stood, it came back harder, like it couldn't stand the idea of me surviving. But I did. I survived every hit, every loss, every time it tried to bury me. And I'll tell you why. Because I refused to stay down. Because as much as I hated myself, as much as I wanted to give up, there was always a spark inside me. Small, almost invisible. But it was there. And that spark was enough. I wasn't born strong. No one is. Strength isn't something you're given. It's something you earn, something you build brick by painful brick. And the cost? The cost is everything. You lose people. You lose pieces of yourself. You lose the dreams you once held close to your heart. And in the end, all you have left is the fire that reminds you of everything you've lost and everything you still have to fight for. Do you know how many nights I've spent screaming into the silence, begging for answers that never came? How many times I've stared into the abyss, wondering if it would be easier to just let go. Too many. But every time something inside me refused to let go, maybe it was anger, maybe it was stubbornness, or maybe it was the ghost of the man I used to be, whispering, "Not yet, not like this." I got up. Again and again and again, I got up. Even when the world tried to break me, even when the weight of my own self-loathing threatened to crush me, I got up. And I kept fighting. Not because I thought I could win, but because I knew I couldn't live with myself if I didn't. And that's what it means to be a warrior. It's not about glory or honor or any of that nonsense. It's about standing back up when every bone in your body is screaming for you to stay down. It's about looking the darkness in the eye and saying, "You don't get to have me. Not today." I hated myself for so long, for all the things I couldn't change, for all the people I couldn't save. But I've come to understand that hate is a poison, and if you let it, it'll kill you from the inside out. So I made a choice. I chose to take that hate and use it. I chose to let it fuel me, to let it remind me of what I've endured and what I'm capable of. Because if I've learned one thing, it's this: pain is inevitable. But suffering is a choice. I still carry the scars, both the ones you can see and the ones you can't. They're a part of me now, a reminder of where I've been and what I've survived. But they don't define me. They don't control me. I am more than my pain, more than my failures, more than the mistakes that haunt me. I am the fire that refuses to be extinguished, the storm that cannot be silenced. They'll call me broken. They'll call me mad. Let them. They don't know the battles I've fought, the hell I've endured. They don't know what it takes to stand when the world is determined to see you fall. But I know. I've lived it. I've breathed it. And I've come out the other side. Not unscathed, but unyielding. Throw everything you have at me. I've already faced the worst this world has to offer, and I'm still here. I've walked through fire, through darkness, through despair, and I've come out stronger, harder, more determined than ever. I am the warrior who refuses to break, who refuses to give in. And no matter how many times I fall, I will always rise. Because in the end, that's all we can do. We can't change the past. We can't erase the pain. But we can choose to keep going, to keep fighting, to keep living. And that choice, that's what makes us unstoppable. That's what makes us warriors. I hated myself, But I've learned to forgive the man I was, to fight for the man I can become. And as long as there's breath in my lungs, I will fight. Not for glory, not for vengeance, but for the simple, unyielding belief that I am more than my pain. I am a warrior, and warriors don't quit, not ever. I've learned something about this world. It doesn't care about you. It doesn't care about your dreams, your struggles, or your pain. It will take everything you hold dear and leave you hollow, and when you cry out for mercy, it will laugh in your face. But do you know what I've realized? That's exactly why you have to fight. Because the world isn't going to hand you anything. If you want something, you have to take it. If you want to matter, you have to make yourself matter. No one is coming to save you. No one is going to pick you up when you fall. It's just you and the weight of everything you carry. And that weight, it will either crush you or forge you into something unbreakable. I used to think that strength meant being unshakable, untouchable, immune to the pain. But that's not strength, that's arrogance. Real strength is knowing you're vulnerable, knowing you're human, and choosing to fight anyway. Real strength is standing up when every bone in your body is screaming for you to stay down. It's facing the darkness inside you and refusing to let it win. And believe me, I've faced that darkness. I've stared into the abyss, felt it clawing at my soul, whispering lies in my ear. You're not enough. You'll never be enough. Why bother fighting when you're destined to fail? And for a long time, I listened. I let those words sink in, let them take root, let them poison me from the inside out. I let that darkness define me, and it nearly destroyed me. But then, I realized something. The abyss doesn't get the final word. It only has power if you give it power. So I stopped listening. I stopped letting it dictate who I was, stopped letting it control me. I fought back, not with swords or fists, but with sheer willpower, with the unyielding belief that I could be more than the sum of my mistakes. And slowly, painfully, I started to reclaim myself, piece by broken piece. You don't come out of that kind of battle unscathed. I'm not the same person I was before. I'm harder now, colder in some ways. But I'm also stronger. I've learned to carry my scars, not as marks of shame, but as badges of survival. Each one tells a story of pain, yes, but also of resilience, of defiance, of refusing to be defeated. Do you know what it feels like to walk through fire and come out the other side. It doesn't feel like victory. It feels like exhaustion, like every step is a battle in itself. But it also feels like clarity. The fire burns away the illusions, the lies you tell yourself, the false hopes and empty dreams. It leaves you with nothing but the truth. And that truth, it's brutal, it's unforgiving, but it's real. And once you face it, once you accept it, you realize that you're still standing. You're still here. And that's a victory in itself. I hated myself for so long, for the things I'd done, for the things I hadn't done, for the people I couldn't save, and the battles I couldn't win. But I've come to understand that hate is a part of healing. It's the fire that burns away the lies, the fuel that keeps you moving forward when nothing else can. And if you can survive it, if you can endure the flames, you'll find something else on the other side. Forgiveness, not from anyone else, but from yourself. I'm not there yet. I'm still learning to forgive myself, still learning to let go of the guilt and the shame. But I'm trying. Every day I'm trying. And that's enough. That has to be enough. Because if I can keep trying, if I can keep moving forward, then maybe, just maybe, I can become the man I was meant to be. I'm not unbroken, I'm not whole, but I'm still here. And as long as I'm here, I'll keep fighting. I'll keep rising, no matter how many times I fall. Because that's what it means to be a warrior. It's not about winning. It's not about glory. It's about refusing to give up, no matter how hard the battle, no matter how heavy the weight. I hated myself, but I'm learning to love the man I'm becoming. And that's the greatest victory of all. I will not pretend this journey has been anything but hell. There were nights I begged for it all to end, days where the sun felt like mockery, and moments when my reflection felt like my enemy. But you know what kept me alive? It wasn't hope. It wasn't faith. It was spite. Spite against the darkness, against the voices that told me I was nothing, against a world that tried to erase me. I stayed alive because I refused to let them win. And now, I'm more than alive. I'm awake. The scars I carry aren't just mine. They belong to every soul I've fought for, every promise I've made, and every person I've lost. I carry them because I must, because someone has to remember, because someone has to rise when no one else can. They say the weight of grief can crush a man, but I've learned to turn that weight into armor. It doesn't make the pain any less. but it makes me stronger. And if strength is what I need to keep moving forward, then I'll bear it all. I hated myself, but I've come to understand that even hate can be transformed. It's not a weakness, it's energy. And energy can be shaped, molded, and directed into something greater. I took that hate and turned it into fuel. I let it drive me to rebuild the pieces of myself that were shattered. And now, standing here with every crack and scar exposed, I am no less a warrior. I am more. Because I've faced the worst of myself and I'm still here. This is not the end of my story. The battles will not stop. The pain will not vanish. And the road will not get easier. But I'll keep walking it anyway. Because if I've learned anything, it's that every step forward, no matter how small, is a victory. And even if the world forgets my name, even if I leave nothing behind but whispers on the wind, I will know that I stood, that I fought, that I refused to break. And that, more than anything, is what it means to be alive.